So today, students, welcome to class. I'd like to take the opportunity to review how to utilize the ICD-10 PCS tables via the online coding manual, ICD-10 PCS procedure coding manuals that are located and found on the CMS website. So in an earlier lecture or review, we took time to show you how to locate these coding manuals. Now I'd like to and we kind of briefly went into the index and briefly went into locating the correct terms. So again, this isn't the most ideal way to find them. If you have a coding manual, that's the best way to reference the index. However, if you don't have it, we can still arrive at the same codes by utilizing the index. So here you'll see the index is located in a notepad, so it's kind of in a text format or text file format. So you'll see that it notates main term, and then you'll have title and it shows bypass. So bypass is the actual main term or root operation that we would be searching for. And you would want to look for the specific body site. So the main term first was bypass, and if it was aorta, you'll see that the title is aorta for the subterm. And then you're looking for the descending aorta, so you'll continue to follow it down, and it says descending. So you'll note that bypass has it says 0, 8, 1, 2, 3 if it is a bypass of the anterior chamber, the left or the right anterior chamber. So if it's a bypass of the aorta or the descending aorta, you would notice that the table that you need to reference is 021W. So now we will go to the specific file, and let's go back. I'll demonstrate that once again. You'll note let me go back to the right one. Just give me a moment. Here we go. So see how it has the actual ICD-10 PCS tables and then ICD-10 PCS. So we want to make sure that we open that file, which I have it open here. So this is the file that you'll want to open, is the ICD-10 PCS. And let's go back to page 1. Procedure coding system. So it's titled ICD-10 PCS. So it says 20, and when you open it, it says 2017 tables and index. So just kind of go through that folder until you find this file. So next we'll come to, and remember when we reference the index, so let's go back and I'll show you that again. So in the index was referencing bypass of the descending aorta. So that's 021W is the correct table that you'll reference to build the rest of your code for this procedure. So let's go back to the ICD-10 PCS tables. So again, we said 0, 02. So again, the body system values, which is 02. So we selected the medical surgical section. Now we're in the heart and great vessels for the body system. And we said it was 021, again for bypass, so that's the root operation. So now we're in the 021 table, and we said it was 021W. No. It was 021, let's go back and make sure. Yeah, 0213, but it's the 021W, so let's go back. 021. I don't see a W listed, so let's keep going. See, you can see 021 is continued. So it continues on until you find the W character. So it says thoracic aorta descending. So that was actually the thoracic aorta descending. And let's go back. We'll look at that one more time. So again, you see bypass, aorta. See, it says abdominal, and then it goes to thoracic. So it's further indented as to ascending or the arch for the thoracic ascending or thoracic arch or thoracic descending. So that's where we ended up, was the thoracic descending. And again, so you'll just have to be very cognizant of the different levels that you're taking as you're looking at these terms and following them through to identify the specific code table that you should be in order to build the correct code. Okay, so for this example, we'll say the descending thoracic aorta. Okay, so again, let's go back to the PDF file. So we found the correct table. We know that we're in the bypass for the thoracic aorta descending. Now we need to select the specific approach, whether it's open or percutaneous endoscopic. And again, you'll want to go back and refer to your approach definitions to ensure that you're selecting the correct approach. Remember, approach open requires them to cut down through multiple layers of skin and tissue to get to that specific procedure site. Percutaneous endoscopic, they're actually taking like a scope, like an endoscope or a thoracoscope, and they're making minor incisions and utilizing the scope to reach the site and perform the procedure. And then once you have identified the correct approach, you'll want to determine what type of tissue was utilized as a part of this bypass. Was it like a porcine or a swine tissue, which is zooplastic or of animal nature? Was it an autologous venous, which would be like a saphenous vein graft? Or was it autologous arterial, like a radial artery? Or was it a synthetic substitute such as a Gore-Tex graft or some type of graft or plastic tissue? I mean, plastic substitute, not tissue, like a plastic graft. So those are things that would be a synthetic type of substitute. A non-autologous tissue substitute would be like a cadaver graft or cadaver vein, or cadaver, anything from a cadaver or anything that was not mentioned in one of the other device categories. Sometimes, if it's like a left internal mammary artery, that would not require a device code. And then the qualifier would be the specific location that is being bypassed. So again, keep those things in mind when you're going through and looking at the different pieces and building your code for ICD-10 PCS. Always refer back to the details of the procedure to ensure that you are selecting the correct characters in order to arrive at the correct procedure code. So this gives you an overview of how to reference the ICD-10 PCS index. So that's via the text file. And again, be very cognizant and careful. So you'll notice the title for the main term. There's subterms. It says anterior chamber, left, right. Then it says aorta, abdominal, thoracic. And then it further indents to say ascending or the arch or descending. Or if it's an artery, you would go bypass, artery, axillary, right or brachial, left or right, common carotid. So again, you see the different body, common iliac, coronary. If it was, 4 or more arteries that was bypassed, then you would go to the 0213 table. If it was one artery, then you would do the 0210 table. So again, let's go back 02, and we'll go back to the very beginning. Let's just go back to page 1. And you'll have to go back to page 1 every time when it's a new code. Okay, and then again, you'll come to page 2 and you'll say 0, 02 for the heart and great vessels, 021 for bypass. And now we're looking for if it's coronary artery 1 artery, and typically the approach is open. But sometimes it could be percutaneous, so just remember, to pay attention, or percutaneous endoscopic. But you'll notice that the different devices that are listed, if it's internal mammary, there's no device. So you'll always stay in the table from left to right in the same row. You can never, move from one column to the other, up and down. It's always from left to right when you're building the code. And so if it's a internal mammary artery that's being used and it's one coronary artery that's bypassed, then remember it's no device for left or right internal mammary arteries. Anything other than an internal mammary artery, whether it's a saphenous vein graft, a radial artery, then you'll stay within this table from left to right. And if they're just doing one coronary artery that they're bypassing, the approach would be open. And then let's just say it was a saphenous vein graft, so that's going to be autologous tissue substitute, or excuse me, autologous venous tissue, which is character 9. And then if they use the right internal, or the no, the, if they use it was going to the aorta, or from the aorta, then it would be W for the aorta. So again, this just gives you the method on how to build your code. Just always be careful when you're coding bypasses because, again, remember, if it's a coronary procedure, then your qualifier character is different. The guidelines are different from like a gastric procedure or another type of procedure on what that qualifier character definition means and how you actually select that character. So this will conclude our review of how to utilize the ICD-10 PCS tables online. Please feel free to reach out via email should you have additional questions. Thank you and have a great day.